Dear students, today we will talk about very basic concepts. There is normally a lot of confusions. So let me start one by one. I am not giving any name to the topic, so it is just called basics. So we will discuss article number A, article number B, article number C, and see how much you can get out of it. Okay. Let's take a very simple arrangement where there is a battery of 10 volt and there is a variable resistance which I can vary from, assume 0 ohms to 100 ohms. Now, simple concept of Ohm's law says if 10 volt is applied across this resistance, then 10 volt divided by the resistance will be current. When the same current flows the resistance, will give the voltage. So there is no resistance anywhere else. Total voltage should appear across this resistance. But when observation is being taken, it is being found that if I take this as R and this as V values, I found that if we put this as 90 ohms, I get only 9 volts. I was supposed to get 10 volts. If I take 40 ohms, I am getting only 8 volt. Then I am supposed to get 10 volts. When I reduce the value of resistance to 10 ohms, I am just getting 5 volt. There is a big loss of 5 volts. Question arises, what is exactly happening? Where this remaining voltage is going? Let us understand it in a very simple way. Actually speaking, which we normally don't see and don't draw, there is a resistance existing here, which is called as internal resistance of this particular voltage source. There is no voltage source without internal resistance. If internal resistance is 0, then the voltage source is said to be ideal voltage source. But there is no ideal voltage source, so there has to be resistance. Resistance will be less, resistance will be more, but there is a resistance. What is exactly happening is, when I take a 90 ohm resistance, 9 volt I am getting across this, exactly 1 volt is dropping across this. Similarly, when I am taking 40 ohms, I am getting 8 volt across this and 2 volt is getting dropped across this. And when we reach exactly to 10 ohms, I am getting only 5 volt. 5 volt is exactly I am getting here and remaining 5 volt drops here. This is a very interesting thing now. So the voltage becomes 50%. That means out of 10, 5 is here, 5 is here. Voltages are same. That means resistance has to be same. That means if this is 10 ohms, then this also is 10 ohms. This is a simple way to find internal resistance of any voltage source. I repeat, R when vary, I should get 10 across every resistance, but I am getting 9 when it is 90, 8 when it is 40, and exactly 5 when it is 10 ohms. It means when you reach to 10 ohms resistance, 5 volt you are getting across this, so 5 volt is getting dropped across this, and this is known as internal resistance of the constant voltage source, or a voltage source or a battery. Truly speaking, for ideal R should be 0, but for practical source R is having certain value. So this is the concept of internal resistance. Now imagine a situation that if I go on increasing this R that means 100 ohms, 1000 ohms, then 2000 ohms, this 9 volt will go on increasing and finally will reach to 10 volts. Now imagine a situation that this resistance is simply removed, and I have got this situation now. If I measure voltage between these 2 points, it is very clear that this resistance is actually now infinity. So this voltage has to divide between this resistance and infinity. This resistance is very small compared to infinity. So the whole voltage drop will be across these 2 points and I will be getting 10 volts. The voltage which I am able to measure now is actually known as EMF of the voltage source. It is very clear that the extreme value of the voltage you can get from a voltage source is nothing but EMF. Otherwise, whatever you get is known as potential difference. That's why we say EMF is nothing but a voltage across the source when it is open circuit. Open circuit means there is no load being connected. The basic idea is what? When you remove the resistance from here, measure voltage across this voltage is actually dividing between this resistance and this, but internal resistance is very small compared to this resistance which is infinity. whole voltage comes across this, and that is known as EMF of the voltage source. This is the basic concept of internal resistance and EMF. So as I mentioned here, when R is infinity, we become 10 volts, and that is actually called EMF. So the extreme value of voltage from a source you can get is EM of the source, EMF of the source. This is one concept. Second concept, when you ask the student what is the reason for magnetic field, what is the cause of magnetic field, what is the source of magnetic field, student gives some very funny answers. There is a magnet having north, having south, that is the actual cause. True. But the actual source is, when we consider charge, let us be a point charge, and it is at rest, it produces electric field surrounding it. So electric field is produced by charge at rest. Now we all know, if you make a current to pass through a conductor, and if you give a magnetic compass near it, the moment a current flows, the compass deflects. This compass is basically a magnet, very light magnet. It can be deflected only when there is a magnet surrounding it. It is obvious that current carrying conductor produces magnetic field. But what is a current carrying conductor actually? It is nothing but charges moving inside. So what is the story? What is the conclusion rather? That charge when moving produces magnetic field. So charge at rest, electric field, charge moving, magnetic field. For both, charge is responsible. Which charge? Electric charge. There is no magnetic charge as such. Now the question is, if we consider a very simplest arrangement of one closed loop, a single wire having just one closed loop, and if current is flowing clockwise, then what is the polarity it has got? So if I just draw south and extend its length, it gives you south polarity. And then when I talk about the anti-clockwise direction, it gives you north polarity. So common sense that if from this side the current is anti-clock, from the other side it will be nothing but clock. That means the minimum possible arrangement for a magnetic dipole is a current carrying loop whose one side is actually north and other side is actually south. That's why we call there is no monopole in a magnetic field. This is a basic concept which you are supposed to know. The third interesting concept I want to tell is very interesting is, see, whenever we have got a resistors in the lab, especially the carbon resistors, we have got a color code in them. And color code is throughout around, you can see from anywhere. Nobody thought why there is a need of color code. Even a good designer or a circuit maker, before connecting a resistor, will definitely verify with a multimeter, irrespective of there is a color code. So what is the need of the color code? Now see the interesting thing now. Assume these two resistors, one of 12K and one of 18K are connected in parallel in a circuit. They are soldered permanently. Now, if I want to measure the resistance of these individually, it is not possible for me. I measure here, it's a parallel combination. I measure here, it gives me parallel combination. I measure here, it gives me parallel equivalent. So always I will be getting a value of, if I see the parallel, 7.2K. Whatever and wherever I measure across these two lines, I will be getting 7.2K. I don't have any idea how to find these two values individually until and unless I desolder them. For example, if I separate them, then I can measure them. But from a circuit, we cannot desolder everything and every time. So, keeping in the circuit and not able to measure the value, if I have the color code on the resistors, I can find a value. So that's actually need of the color codes. So that remains throughout. The socket is there and the rings are around the whole resistor. You can see from any side. So value to be measured in a soldered circuit, you have to use a color code. I hope the concept must be clear. Thank you.